because Sentuo Oil Refinery is seeking government's help to grow a local industry to support the country's domestic demand for petroleum products. Now, addressing an entourage from the Ministry of Trade and Industry, led by the Minister Katie Hammond, Chairman of Sentuo Group disclosed that after completion, the company would be capable of producing 5 million metric tons of quality products per annum, which will help manage demand for foreign exchange for importation of finished products. I want you to take a listen to what the Trade Minister has also been saying about this.
Quite a bit, well, if not all of our current production, I think has been forward traded. But it seems to me significant that a structure of this caliber should be run with the crude from this country. I'm going to speak with the Minister for Energy. Obviously, it will be on the table of the President, and we'll take it from there. But it's an interesting proposition that I intend to take up a lot. In the last couple of years, there have been considerable challenges in Parliament as to this particular process of granting the exemptions. We're working on it. The President tasked myself and Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, Leader of the House, Wasechi Mensah-Bonsu, to make sure that this matter is completely streamlined. We intend to see the Speaker about it, and I hope that will make some progress. Not only this, there's quite a few of them which are all choked up in the system.
Well, so government essentially promising support for Sentuo Oil Refinery. Joining us to discuss this, Executive Director of the Institute of Energy Security, Nana Mwesi the 7th. Good afternoon to you. Thanks for your time. So we are told that Sentuo Oil Refinery has the capacity of producing 5 million metric tons of crude oil a year. In the first phase, they will be producing between 1 and 2 million metric tons. How significant is this in meeting our fuel consumption needs?
Thanks for having me, Dara. And we're asking how significant was Sentuo Oil Refinery be to our fuel supply security. Of course, it's going to play a major role in ensuring that we are secured in terms of our domestic needs, because as a country, we consume roughly 4.4 million metric tons a year. When it comes to diesel, we are doing roughly 160,000 per month, petrol 140,000 per month, LPG 80K fuel oil combined, we're doing roughly 380,000 metric tons a month. That's amount to roughly 4.4 million metric tons a year. And so if Sentuo has capacity to produce 5 million metric tons a year, it means that all things being equal, in the next 1 to 3 years, they can meet our entire annual needs of fuel in the country. However, we also know that Sentuo will not just be supplying to the domestic market, it may be supplying to the international market and West African domain. And so, yes, of course, it will play a key role in our fuel needs as a country.
Well, that's a boost, no doubt. But it's also interesting, government is talking about supporting Sentuo when, in fact, the Sentuo Oil Refinery is struggling. Last month, there was news going around about plans to lease the company to a private investor. Some CSOs thought it was a bad deal. Are we on the right path when it comes to restoring Tor? Is that the only viable option?
First, let me say this. The kind of support government is giving to Sentuo, which same is given to Sentuo Oil Refinery, because over the last 1 year, government functionaries have visited this Sentuo more than 3-4 times. We've not seen the same with Sentuo Oil Refinery. However, we want to believe that government is not only supporting Sentuo to the disadvantage of Sentuo Oil Refinery, and we also support Sentuo and any other refinery that means good for the country. Now we're talking about toll and the current arrangement that government is looking at, leasing this facility to private hands for almost 6 years. Of course, we have a bit of concern with the financial and the technical capacity of this entity, and we are waiting to see what will come out in the next few months, because we understand government has spent almost 1.3 million Ghana cedis to, a negotiator over the last 1 year, so to speak, to make this arrangement go forward, but we've seen nothing on the table. Well, I wish to see Tor refining its own crude, selling onto the Ghanaian market, and taking an entire control of the facility. However, to lease this facility means that you are bequeathing into a hand that you are either sure can run it safely and efficiently for the period, or a hand that may be detrimental to our expectation. We have a lot of other, mechanisms that we can consider beyond the leasing. Tor is good at tolling arrangements where somebody can bring in his crude. Tor refines at a tolling fee. The person evacuates the products. The next is that Tor giving a clean slate in books so that it can import on its own account and refine. The last bit is that somebody brings in the crude, supply Tor manages it well, and there's another off-taker to pick it. And so we can look at other arrangements. We understand that some other entities like Falcon Energy, Legacy, Petroleum, and others have also presented their term sheet to Tor. Well, I wish that, yes, while government's looking at Torenco, it must look beyond Torenco to consider other ones to see one that gives us value for money and security of facility.
Quick word on another news we are monitoring to do with power supply. The Ghana National Gas Company saying the planned reduction in natural gas supply has been resolved, but not after the drama over the weekend. GridCo and WAPCO, if you monitored, the minority in Parliament asking for an investigation to be done. Do you agree with calls for an investigation? And is this the last we have heard of this issue with supply of gas?
This will not be the last we hear. Not just about natural gas supply, but even in power generation from the IPPs. Darrell, just after the IPPs rescinded their decision not to shut down after government engaged them the last minute, the gas supply from Nigeria was cut for a brief period for non-payment of the gas supply by government, and it was restored the next day. Then, of course, a week or two later, we've seen this also happening from the Western Corridor, where WAPCO, the transmitter, was initially blamed by GridCo that they didn't move the product, or there was an interruption with their system. Then Ghana Gas comes and say that the interruption was our fault. We had a temporary power outage in our unit, and that's what caused it. It so makes the conversation quite murkier, and so we also support the call for an investigation into the actual cause of this interruption, because from the grapevines, we understand that there are contractual issues between Ghana Gas or government and WAPCO, and we can smell that it's also a liquidity challenge. It's also a financial issue. It's a debt issue. If government doesn't clear the debts, both from WAPCO conveyance of the product from the west to the eastern corridor, and also from NGAS natural gas supply from Nigeria, of course, we'll be hearing more of this often, and the blame game will continue going on just as a form of cover-up as we are beginning to pick indication.
Alam, we see the 7th Executive Director of the IAS. Appreciate you could join us. Thank you so much.